I'm so glad I did this video. Temperance doesn't have a keyword. We're ignoring you. Passionate love just falls flat. Kind of like that sugar daddy vibe. Motivation is too flighty. I prefer my version. Hello everybody, it's Sylvie. Welcome or welcome back to Tarot Magpie. I hope you're doing all kinds of good today. This is going to be a tag video. It is the Unlock Your Decks tag, which was started by Mylena Teresa. I will of course link her video in the description below as a kind of response to the Unlocking the Tarot book by Lisa Pepez, who I will also link in the description if you are somehow not familiar with her YouTube channel. She published her book, which now I'm not convinced is called Unlocking the Tarot, but it's very recently published. I think it has now come out here in the UK. I am itching to get my hands on a copy because I really like the way that she explores the idea of keywords. Keywords are not usually something I'm big on when it comes to tarot, because I think words can mean different things to different people. So just handing someone a little white book with a list of keywords isn't necessarily going to help them. But Lisa's approach is creating your own keyword or finding your own keyword to match up what the card means to you. So I really want to read her book, kind of see how she's applied that. That's not what this video is about. This is a response to Mylena, who created this tag as a way to cross-reference keywords or cross-reference decks almost. The idea is we grab a few decks that all have keywords on them, pull the same card across different decks and see how the keywords compare, maybe see which ones feel most correct to me. I do not have a deck that I have written my own keywords on. I do want to do that. As and when I get Lisa's book, I probably will go through the process of creating my own keywords and marking up a deck, but I don't have that. I do have off screen my Obsidian Tarot Second Brain database notebook thing where I have written up my various keywords and ideas, so I will pull that in for comparison. I think that's enough of an introduction. Like I said, I will direct you towards Mylena Teresa for her video. And I've got this little stack of decks. So what do I have? I have the Navigator's Tarot of the Mystic Sea, the Gill Tarot, the Circle of Doors, which was the first deck I thought of for this. And then I grabbed the She Is Sitting in the Night book because I remember really liking the keywords in this when I read it. I don't have the deck that is pictured in this book. The deck pictured is Fia's Tarot, but I do like the keywords. And then I also grabbed this, which is the Tarot of the Toiling Hands, and doesn't have keywords, but does have these titles on every single card. So here we've got the Two of Wands, the Mother of Forethought and Decision, the Three of Wands, the Child of Progress, of Opportunity, Six of Swords, the Mother of Somber Transitions. So they have been created for this deck. I decided not to pull out my Thoth deck because that felt, I don't know, too obvious almost. And these all have some kind of, they are personalized keywords for the deck, I suppose you could say. So I think I'm just going to shuffle. What Mylena did was, I think she chose deliberately a major, a minor, and a court card. And I think I'm going to, maybe I will shuffle each deck, pull a card, and then compare them across all the decks. I think that's what I'm going to do. So let us get into it. You know I love to cross-reference. I've got a few different videos where I do similar sort of things with various tarot and oracle decks, sort of mapping oracle decks onto the tarot, mapping majors and minors together. Why do I have this handful of cards? I interrupted my own train of thought again, didn't I? I love cross-referencing. I love this kind of exercise. So as soon as I saw Mylena's video, I was like, yes, I will be doing this one. So I'm going to give her a shuffle. Oh, with great difficulty. Okay, Four of Knives, which is the Four of Swords. So the keyword in the Circle of Doors is stillness. I don't know if that's showing up because it's metallic, but I will grab the Four of Swords from my other decks. So the Circle of Doors, we've got stillness. The Tarot of the Toiling Hands has the title The Warrior of Wise Recuperation. Navigators of the Mystic Sea is also recuperation. And then the Gill Tarot is rest. So can we get those all in frame, please? And then let's have a look at the Thea's Tarot. So here we have stillness, rest, and building of strength. And then in my own notes, I've got respite, stillness, retreat, and withdrawal. So we've got recuperation twice, stillness, rest, and building of strength. I will say I really like recuperation. I haven't got that as a keyword in my own notes, but I do really like that. I think there is a difference between rest and recuperation. Recuperation, I feel like, implies more of a pause and more of a recovery than rest, because rest is always needed. You don't need to have earned rest. You don't need to be recovering from something to need rest. You don't need to deserve rest. Like, rest is always necessary, so it's a little bit general almost. Whereas recuperation, especially considering the Four of Swords follows the Three of Swords, which is a very difficult moment, recuperation I think makes a lot more sense. I like wise recuperation. And I think stillness, I think I prefer stillness to rest as well. Because although rest has a restorative connotation that stillness doesn't, stillness again feels a little bit more intentional. It feels like a pause, which is what I think the Four of Swords is. It is a kind of retreat and a pause and then a getting back into it, which I suppose you could argue rest does imply like a temporary nature, but I like stillness. I think recuperation is my favorite keyword. And then out of my own notes, respite, stillness, retreat, and withdrawal. Retreat and withdrawal do seem like the same thing, but I have added them in separately. I think respite is a good one. Respite kind of feels very similar to recuperation in my head. It's like a taking a break before you re-enter the fray, and especially considering the Four of Swords between the 3 and the 5, that makes a lot of sense to me. So that's interesting. And then here, building of strength in the she is sitting in the night. Building of strength, which I suppose again speaks to the idea of rest as something, as like a recovery, as a recuperation, like wise recuperation. You're building your strength ahead of something, or you're taking a rest while you can. Ooh, that I like that. I don't think I've thought of the Four of Swords in the sense of almost like tactical rest, taking a break while you can, wise recuperation, building strength. Ooh, interesting. Okay, I'm gonna shuffle this next and see what we come out with. The Last Judgment. Oh, Judgment is kind of one of my favorite cards to think about. It's definitely not one of my favorite cards to pull, although I did pull it the other day. Okay, so with the Toiling Hands, the Exultant Call to Awaken, with specifically they've titled it The Last Judgment, which again I really like. That is kind of how I think about it a lot of the time. I don't know if we I don't think there's keywords on the majors for this one. Okay, well, that's just going to be to one side. The Circle of Doors I know doesn't have keywords on the majors, but it does in the guidebook. So again, I'm going to find it. Oh, and this one is called Aeon instead of Judgment. But it's Aeon again with the Navigator's Tarot. Okay, let's have a look at the Circle of Doors guidebook. So this is the card artwork. Right, so this is a phrase more than a keyword. Take karma into your own hands. She is sitting in the night. Creative fullness, glad tidings, artistic invention, and also this titled Rebirth. So realization, the exultant call to awaken, take karma into your own hands. Creative fullness, glad tidings, artistic invention. And then I'll look at my own notes. So what I've got is I've got re in brackets, reawakening. And then other keywords I've got are revolution, awakening, transformation, accountability, consequence, and momentum. How on earth have I put momentum in there? A gravitational pull to the Judgment card. All right, so instantly the thing that springs to my mind is Rebirth as the title, because this is a bit of a pet peeve of mine, and I think I've mentioned it before. I get really sick of people calling the Death card the Rebirth card, and I'm like, no, that's Judgment. Death is the moment of death. If anything is a moment of rebirth, it is Judgment. I mean, literally, they're being resurrected in the traditional Rider-Waite-Smith image. That's a rebirth. So I like that. I like the rebirth, and in that same vein, I like the call to awaken. I think it speaks to that rebirth aspect. Realization is a good one. Realization. for Judgment for the Eon. I've got Awakening and Reawakening in my own notes. I do think of the Judgment card as this like final call to action, this final chance to change your mind, make a decision, commit to something, choose a path before whatever chapter cycle you're in ends, and take karma into your own hands. I think that kind of speaks to that idea. Karma isn't a word I use a lot, so this isn't phrasing I would, think to use, but I like what it's saying. It is that kind of make your choices, they're in your hands. Things won't always go as you intend them to or hope that they will, but you do make your choices. And it ties into that idea of the final call to action. Realization. I like that. Judgment as a realization. If anything, I think I associate realization a little bit more with the Tower, but that's not to say it's not correct for Judgment. Like, I think it makes sense for Judgment. Judgment just isn't the card that I would put this keyword with. So that's interesting. And then with this one, with Thea's Tarot, with She Is Sitting in the Night, creative fullness, glad tidings, artistic invention, which I think does speak more to an idea of rebirth than a traditional idea of the Judgment card. And then what else did I have in my own notes? Transformation, yep, it's that renewal, it's that rebirth. Awakening, reawakening. Momentum, I think, makes sense, but maybe more in the sense that it's a momentous occasion. And then accountability and consequence. Do you know what? I like the idea that, there's a lot of cards, especially in the major arcana, there are a few points where you're called to like make a decision, make a commitment. Like the Lovers is the other obvious one off the top of my head. But I think Judgment coming so late in the cycle, there is more a sense of accountability than with the Lovers card, although I think it's also present. I think consequence is definitely present in the Lovers card, but the idea of accountability, and I think it comes back to the idea of like the choices in your hands and you're responsible for your action or your inaction. And it's that call to action, which I suppose you could choose to ignore. I feel like I'm talking around in circles. Judgment's a really interesting card to me, so that's not surprising. I think also I've got accountability and consequence in the mix there because there's a bit of a similarity between Judgment and Justice. I think I've had people ask me what the difference is, and I think it can be a tricky one to articulate in abstract without some kind of context. I mean, Justice is more cause and effect, and Judgment is a call to action. I just keep coming back to that. So I like Awakening or Reawakening. I do quite like Momentum, but I always like Momentum. Okay, I'm going to move on because I'm talking around in circles. I would quite like a Court. We've got, okay, the Moon, another major. Maybe I will not do another major. Maybe I will do the King of Pentacles. He was sitting underneath because I said I wanted a Court. Only because the majors are a bit of a faff with these decks. So, the King of Pentacles. That's got to be the King of Pentacles, right? I love the artwork for this king, by the way. Like the throne, and I just think it's so cool. Okay, two very different keywords already, motivation and conception. The ambitious father of material success. That feels a little bit more traditional. Oh, I need to figure out who the king equivalent is in the Circle of Doors because they do their courts differently. Right, I think the crone is closest to a king to me. So that's what we're going to go with. We're going to look for the crone of its shells in this deck for Pentacles. Crone of Shells, Keeper. Adore that. Okay, so we've got motivation, the ambitious father of material success, Keeper, and conception. Right, I think the mother is the equivalent of the king. So here we've got fertility, affection, spirit of the earth. In my own notes, I've got deliberate, perspective, practicality, resources, and work, as in work done, not as in career or job. It's work as in what do you actually do. Okay, so the ambitious father of material success, I feel like is the most traditional kind of, not exactly keyword, key phrase, title. It's got the most traditional associations with the King of Pentacles. Kind of like that sugar daddy vibe that is often what I compare the King of Pentacles to. Motivation is interesting. Keeper, conception. Interesting to have conception and also fertility within two different resources. They're not quite the same, but I think they are connected. I like conception, but it almost feels a little bit, considering the King of Pentacles is theoretically, depending on how you look at it, how you read the courts, the King of Pentacles is like the top of the suit. They're the pinnacle of the suit. They're the most of the suit. You work your way up to the king. So to have that then be conception. But I suppose it fits with like we're holding the earth in our hand, like it is that kind of, it's not just potential, because potential is everything, but it's also nothing. Potential isn't an actual thing. Potential is like a concept almost. But to go from potential to conception to the act of actually creating something material and real in that sense isn't necessarily what I would pair with the king of a suit, but it also doesn't not make sense. It just feels quite opposite to something like the ambitious father of material success. Motivation is an interesting one for the King of Pentacles, because again, I don't disagree. I think the King of Pentacles is quite motivated, but it is not the primary keyword that I would pick out for him. I really do like the idea of like perspective for the King of Pentacles. I think of King of Pentacles, I think of like a mountain, because I like kings as the air and then pentacles as the earth, and I'm like, it's, you know, the King of Pentacles is a mountain. It's that big picture perspective, big picture view. We're quite solid and maybe quite slow. We're not zipping about, we're not dodging and weaving. The King of Pentacles is very solid and has a plan, has that perspective. It's why I like deliberate. Deliberate might be one of my favorite keywords for the King of Pentacles. Deliberate and perspective. Like it's very practical, and motivation isn't necessarily very practical. Again, motivation is something ephemeral. Motivation is like potential. It is not a real thing that exists in the world in any kind of tangible material form. So maybe like from potential to conception, and then from, I guess, motivation to action, maybe. And then keeper is like a whole different vibe, especially with this imagery, with this central figure, especially because these look like, yeah, these look like children. And so my idea is a keeper of like wisdom or knowledge, or even like a keeper of safety. Oh, I like that for the King of Pentacles. Ooh, I like that. Keeper of safety. I don't know if that's what this card is getting at. I need to read the guidebook. I simply must. Any excuse to dip into this guidebook, really. All right, Crone of Shells. Master of the material world, tracing heritage and provenance of everything, knows the value of the things we make. What sort of things are worth preserving? Do you possess these things in your life? Are you their caretaker? Okay, I prefer my version. The keeper, like, yeah, sure, keeper of wisdom, stories, culture is kept within stories, passed down, tradition. So the keeper of tradition, the keeper of culture maybe, but also I think the keeper of safety, because safety is also a material concern. Okay, I've just gone on several verbal tangents, but I like conception, having thought about it. Motivation is not my favorite. Motivation is too intangible. Motivation is too flighty for the King of Pentacles for me and the way that I read it. The ambitious father of material success is fine, but I like keeper, conception, and deliberate and perspective out of my own keywords. I think they're good. Okay. Ooh, keeper of safety. I love that. I'm so glad I did this video just for that little realization. Right, for the sake of completion, why did it do that? It flipped upside down. For the sake of completion, I am going to pull another one from the Gill Tarot, do a fourth one of these little comparisons, and round out this video. Temperance doesn't have a keyword. We're ignoring you. Love for the Two of Cups. Is love the fourth keyword as well? I don't remember off the top of my head. Okay, harmony. I like harmony. I like that more than love, because love has, I know you can feel non-romantic love, but love just always does have the romantic connotations first and foremost in my brain. That's how it's used, I guess. Why am I shuffling this? That's how it gets used primarily in just the, you know, things I see and read and hear. Two of Cups, we've got connection, if you can see that. Two of Cups, the Lords of intense and passionate love. So we've got love again, and there it feels extra romantic. Just because, again, like, I'm sure you can feel non-romantic, passionate love. passion is not exclusive to romance, but that is the connotation that my brain has primarily formed. Okay, let us look. Two of Cups, love, enduring and harmonious relationships. Okay, this, importantly, this one is allowed to be about romance because this is very specifically a queer feminist deck. So these are lesbians and I love them. Okay, so love, enduring and harmonious relationships. And then in my own notes, I don't have a lot of notes for the Two of Cups because I can't find keywords that I like. So the keywords I've actually written are harmony and relationships, and I don't really like those as keywords. Those are more like associated ideas, although I do like harmony in the sense of how we talk about harmony in like music, the idea of two different notes sounding at the same time in a way that the resulting emergent sound is more complex, rather than harmony and then like everybody being nice to each other. I like harmony in that sense, and it's almost like a greater than the sum of the parts kind of idea, like that idea of harmony, like a fuller, more complex sound than either of the notes individually. So I guess that's the closest thing I've got to a keyword in my own personal notes, although like I say, I haven't settled on anything that I love for the Two of Cups. Ironically enough, love. So here we have harmony. I don't know if that's how that deck intended it, but it is the closest that I've got. Harmonious relationships, which that's the other thing, is harmony in the sense that I'm thinking about is not strictly romantic. It's how would you translate that to people and to feelings? I think it's more complementary is how I mean it. So a Two of Cups moment in that sense of harmony, of two things coming together in like a pleasing way, is maybe two people or two ideas. It's kind of more like a resolution, even though it's very early in the numerology to be thinking about resolution. I am just thinking out loud, but that kind of harmony is less about getting on with each other and being nice for the sake of it, and it's more about, I think it's more of a connection. I think if you're able to have that kind of harmony with somebody where you're sharing your ideas or your feelings, they're sharing their ideas and their feelings, and what you get out of it is you still each have your own unique perspectives. You feel as though you've enriched each other by the discussion, by the experience. If you look at cups in the sense of like creativity, I think that idea of harmony makes a lot of sense. It sort of links back to like temperance, and you're not just mixing two things to create a happy medium, you're combining two things to elevate them both. Fully on a tangent here. And so like the Lords of Intense and Passionate Love just falls flat for me in that sense. Connection works. Connection is so broad. I think connection is one of those words that can mean so many different things to different people and can just mean so many different things in different contexts. Like you can have a romantic connection, you can have an internet connection. Like this is kind of why I tend to not love the idea of keywords, because if I just tell you the Two of Cups means connection, you could take anything from that. If you come to whatever connection means to you as your understanding of the Two of Cups, great. But if you just take a list of somebody else's keywords, unless you really understand exactly what they mean by those keywords, in which case you're reading like 78 small essays, a keyword on its own doesn't do much. Like this is to circle back. This is why I want to get Lisa's book. I could just do her Tarot with Training Reels course on YouTube, but you know me, I want to read a book because I want to see how she kind of lays out how she does it, because I think it's fascinating. So, love, not my favourite. Harmony, yes, my favourite. Connection, I like connection when I know what I mean by it, is my little like caveat there, I guess. And this has been a long one, so I am gonna leave it there. I've looked at 4 different cards. Have I come to any conclusions? No, but I don't think I needed to. I think this was a really interesting little exercise. I'm really grateful to Marlena for creating her video. Like I said, will be linked in the description. This was a lot of fun. I love to think about thinking, and that's exactly what this kind of exercise is. So I had a great time. Let me know if you have also tried this out, whether you've done a video or if you've just tried it out in your own time in your journals, because I think it's really cool. And that's it from me. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being here. I really hope you have enjoyed. If you want to see more from me, check out my Patreon, which will be linked in the description below, along with a link to my Etsy for my readings and mini tarot spread zines. Let me know what you thought of this. Give me a like if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.